Howdy partners, and welcome to episode 8 of Let's Play Planet Coaster Frontier Adventure here on Theme Park Worldwide. In this episode, I'm going to be starting work on a large interactive dark ride. This is going to span throughout this episode and into episode 9 as well. And the reason I've done that is because I want to show you all of the details of this dark ride coming together. It's going to be fully immersive, it's going to be interactive, and I can't wait to start with the theming on this. And as you can see at the moment, I'm just putting in the ride system first. So yes, welcome to a very action-packed couple of episodes now working on this interactive dark ride. Never actually built one of these before in the game. How it works is you've got the ride system itself, and then you can add targets all the way around, different sizes, some small, some big, some that flip over, and yeah, I'm going to add loads of targets in around the ride. So it's going to come together and be absolutely fantastic. And as you can see, it's going to be quite a large dark ride as well, with lots of different scenes all throughout there. So yeah, as you can see, just putting in the floor in there as a bit of a base, and we've got the actual track for the ride system just above it there as well. Now, of course, everything's sped up here. The ride won't actually be going that quick through the scenes like you're seeing it there. It is sped up, but yeah, you will see a full on-ride POV in the next episode once it's complete. I'll be doing a custom narration for it as well, all to fit with the storyline behind this ride. Now, with this, I've actually got a storyline in mind, and I think when you're building a dark ride, really, you need to have an idea on what the story is going to be before you start building it. Else, you know, some of your theming items might not work in place and that sort of thing. Especially with this ride, it's going to be very heavily based around the story. However, you guys will be able to add to parts of the story and also come up with the name, as always, choosing the names for the rides in the park. So that's going to continue with this dark ride, and of course I'll be talking more about the story in the next few minutes and giving you a bit of an idea on what you can expect when it comes to the finished ride. But yeah, I just wanted to spread it across 2 episodes so you can really see all these details coming in, because I'm really pleased with how this dark ride has started to come together, and I'm looking forward to finishing it actually, and of course seeing how this ride ends up once it's complete. So yes, you can see we've got a little city hall there. Well, the first plan with this dark ride here, and the first scene, is going to be a normal Wild West town. Now, with this, everything's going to be fine, everything's going to be happy and rosy, everything's going okay. However, the plan is, as you make your way through this ride, you're going to go through this first town, followed by a second town, and then start to realise that, hang on a minute, is that what looks like rain in this Wild West town? And the story is that this town hasn't actually had a rainstorm for many years, and all the locals are panicking and thinking, why are we having this rainstorm, not realizing that actually it's going to be lethal. It's going to be a really bad storm that unfortunately is going to kill a lot of the residents here. And that's actually going to be a scene inside the ride where you're going to see this storm. You're going to go through the storm itself. The ride vehicles, the good thing with these, we can spin them around in different directions. We can have lots of special effects going on. So there's going to be quite a dramatic scene where you're actually going through the storm with rain coming down, lots of different special effects, lighting, strobes. We'll have fire effects in there from, of course, wagons that have tipped up and explosives that have gone off. And then it'll all kind of calm down, maybe go through some sort of tunnel, some rocks, and then you're going to end up in a scene which is kind of going to be inspired a little bit by the Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean at the Disney parks, where yes, there's a lot of skeletons and things about. However, the singing and dancing, and that's the kind of idea that I'm going for with this. It's not going to be too dark. It's a family ride at the end of the day. However, you know what Disney do with their dark rides. Yes, it's quite a gruesome story when you think about it, with things like the Haunted Mansion, Phantom Manor, but you know, they put more of a fun spin onto it as well. So that's what we're kind of do with this. You'll end up in this abandoned town where unfortunately there's nobody left alive. However, everyone's come back alive and singing and dancing in this big finale scene for the ride. So that's the storyline for it. Yeah, I hope that you like that. So of course you can add to that. You can, I'm looking forward to kind of seeing what you guys can add to that. Of course, you can't really take away or change it too much because the ride scenes are being based on that story, and that's all going to come together as you make your way through the different scenes. However, you'll also be able to come up with a name. So I'm looking forward to hearing those suggestions down below. Talking of names, I also need to name the log flume ride that I built back in episode 7. That was last Wednesday's episode. Check it out if you've not already seen it. I'm sure most of you have though, to be honest, because you're all very dedicated to this Planet Coaster series, which is amazing. So thank you so much for all of your support. We really do appreciate it. It means the world to me. It really does. Now, yes, I will be revealing that name for the log flume in the next few minutes. So stay tuned for that. So as you can see, this opening scene is really starting to come together nicely now. You're then going to head through into a building there, which will be scene 2. Now, with that scene, it's actually going to be a saloon, and that's going to be a transition between this town and heading out into the next town. Of course, that's where the action is going to start to take place in that next scene. We're going to start to see a bit of a rain shower in the west. It's like, what? What's going on? Crazy. And I thought that'd be a really good fit for the storyline for this. So with these dark rides, it's all about making sure that it looks great from all angles. However, you can look at it from down on ground level there. Some buildings don't even need roofs. They don't need finishing off that much. You can focus a lot of your attention and details onto the front of the buildings that are actually going to get seen. Now, also in dark rides, a lot of buildings are actually used from both sides because, of course, that cuts the cost, doesn't it, in the construction. If you can use a building to look a certain way one side and then have it doing something completely different on the other side, you're saving your building costs, but you're kind of adding to the scenes too. And that's what I'm going to be doing with here. All of these different buildings that you're going to see in these scenes are actually going to be seen from the other side too. So I'll be incorporating those into the dark ride and all parts of that storyline. So as you can see, one of the first things you see there coming out is a schoolhouse. That's something that we've not yet included anywhere in the park. So I thought that would be a nice little feature to put in, a little school there. Again, there's a city hall, there's a sheriff's office and a jail. Some of the traditional things that you'd expect really in a Wild West town. But yeah, with this opening scene, that's kind of just setting the scene that everything's okay, everything's fine. Bear in mind that we're back down in the Tanpost themed area now of the park where I'm building this dark ride. So they're going through this town celebration. So everything's fine. But unfortunately, what they don't know is that later on, everything's not going to be fine. And that's when the storm is going to start coming in and taking it over. I just thought it'd be a very different and unique theme to go with the story behind this. Instead of it all being based on, like a big shootout or something like that, I can just imagine, this big storm coming in, what they've never seen before, none of them. And unfortunately, it does cause a lot of deaths, and that's going to kind of all go into this big finale scene for the ride, where everything's gone a little bit crazy, everything's deserted. I'm thinking maybe a bit of like a train in there, possibly like a train carriage maybe flipped off to the side, that sort of thing. All that, the storm has just destroyed this town, this perfect town where everything's great has been completely destroyed. That's the plan. But as you can see, the buildings are coming together nice. I decided to actually have an open scene there. You can see where you can actually look through, it kind of looks like a window, through to another part of the ride. I just thought that would be a nice little effect to do, especially with it being an interactive dark ride, so you can see part of that scene that's going to happen straight through, and it kind of gives you a bit of a warning that don't go ahead, something's going to be happening in the future, because through there you're already going to see the aftermath of this storm that's going to hit. So it'll give you a bit of a preview. It'll be quite dark through there. I mean, this whole ride's going to be pretty dark, but it's not going to be too over the top in terms of with dark horror. It's going to be still a nice family ride for people to enjoy in the park. But with the interactive rides, then as I mentioned at the start of the video, you actually add in lots of different targets for the guns that of course the riders are going to have in their hands, you're going to add targets in all the way around. So you can see me adding some there onto the school, that wagon that we've got there. You can change the colours of the targets as well, which is cool, just so they fit in better with the colours and the landscape. They look a bit like Jammy Dodgers, don't they, when you've got the red bit in the middle. But yeah, you know, overall it's coming together nicely with that first scene. And with this, I'm building it very different to how I normally would. I mean, with a dark ride like this, I'd normally actually build a scene and then put the roof on. Bit of a cut and cover thing, you know. I'd put the walls up, build a scene, then put the roof on. I'm not going to do that with this. I'm going to keep it completely open until I've done all of the interior scenes, other than a couple of bits that I need to do once the roof is on. I'm then going to work on the lighting, and then of course I'll give you a POV, and that'll all be coming up in the next episode next Wednesday. So yes, you've got to wait another week to see the full-on ride of this, but I promise you it will be worth it when it's all finished and put together. So I've finished work for now on the opening scene, and I'm starting here on the second scene in the ride, which is going to be this saloon. Now the plan is with here to have a bit of a shoot off going on there over the bar. We've got lots of different props going in here. We've got a big gun just on the wall up there. That wouldn't be a real gun. That's just part of props, of course, that would be in the saloon itself. It's way too big to be a real one. Along with that as well, we've got the bar itself, a notice board going in there, lots of different cases, some stools, that sort of thing, like the interior that you would expect really of a saloon. We're going to have another guy that's joining in just on the other side there, so that creates a good bit of interaction. We can trigger all of this as well, so we can trigger the effects. So the good thing is with this game, you know, you don't have to have your animatronics moving all the time. We can have it that a ride vehicle comes up the ramp, turns around that corner, and then activates the different effects inside the saloon. I also did that a few minutes ago, if you noticed, with the barrel that was exploding in the first scene just outside of the jail and sheriff's office. That's where I had that effect. And again, I just set a trigger up. It's nice and easy to do. You just go, once you've built your ride, you go into the triggers segment, and then you can set it there and drag a number around, so you can actually connect it to that, and it'll activate it when the ride vehicle goes over there. You just want to make sure that you've got enough time for the different triggers to reset before the next vehicle comes along. It's like these doors that I've just put on here, for example. You want to make sure that them doors are closed again before the next vehicle sees them doors open. So it comes up the top there, and it makes sure that them doors are closed again. But you can do that with your layouts. It's all about making sure corners are in the right places, and that sort of thing, making sure the ride speed is correct. And the good thing is with this ride system, you can actually spin it into different scenes. Now, so far, you know, I've not needed to do that because all the scenes, it's 360-degree set design. In this next scene, as you can see, the wall is very close on the right, so you'll see me do it shortly. I'm going to actually make it so the ride vehicle will spin to the left and into the scene, because we've raised it up here, and there's a reason why I have raised it up that you're going to find out shortly. So yeah, this is me just working on that now. So as you can see, there's actually arrows on the track there for the ride system, and I can actually edit that to have the vehicle spin, so they're looking into that other section, because this wall here then doesn't need to have as much theming on. Now, I'm still going to put some theming on it, but I don't need to put loads on there because I know the ride vehicle is going to actually spin round into that scene. You can also do some tilting on these as well. I've done a bit of tilting here, but I hadn't meant to, so you see me change that back shortly. And like I say, when we get into this scene, what's going to be coming up later, probably scene number 3 or 4 during the ride, that's where of course the storm is really going to be hitting this town now, and there's going to be causing fires and all sorts of things happening. We're actually going to have these ride vehicles spinning round, quite intense actually, just to add to the sort of trauma that would be going on in that scene. That's the plan with that. Now, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, it's all about utilising the space well, because I didn't want a huge show building for this, but I wanted a good long dark ride with lots of different scenes. So the plan is here, on the other side of them buildings is going to be a big scene, and then also on this side you're going to drop down, and then the buildings are going to feel a lot taller than what they did when you were looking at them from the other side, even though they're the exact same buildings. This is a trick what a lot of theme parks use on dark rides. Most dark rides out there, you're looking at one side of the building and it looks completely different to the other side. We're kind of doing that here. However, the buildings won't look completely different because they don't need need to. It's all fitting with the same theme. And at this point, we know that the storm hasn't hit yet. You're going to go through some double doors after this scene here and into this storm. That's where it's all going to start. But we will have the rainfall starting at some point in this scene, just to kind of set the tone that, hang on a minute, why is it starting to rain in this beautiful tropical climate that we're in here, you know, out there in the desert? You just wouldn't expect it. And that's why, it fits with it. It's unrealistic, isn't it? It's like, what? Why is there a big storm somewhere like this? But that's all gonna come together as part of the storyline for this. I just thought it'd be a little bit different too. So as you can see, we've got the ride vehicle spinning into the scene there. So I'm going to start adding a lot of the details onto the buildings. Firstly, on the side that you're going to come into first, and then working on that other section. And like I say, it's all a very clever tactic, because you see the buildings from a distance, you drop down and then come around this corner, and you feel like the different buildings, because you're not really going to notice that they're the same ones, because you're going to be looking at them and they're a lot higher. Plus there's going to be set design on the other side as well. Just going back to the targets then that you can add into the game, of course changing the colours there so they don't look like jammy dodgers, and then if you don't know what jammy dodgers are, it's a biscuit. I just thought I'd point that out. There's probably some people watching this in other countries thinking, Sean, what is a jammy dodger? Yeah, here in Britain we have jammy dodger biscuits, and they're absolutely delicious. I love them. Often if you see me at a theme park, I'll have some in my bag somewhere. But yeah, I'm adding the different targets on. Some big targets here. We've got them little ones. You see just above the door what I've just put in, and on the top there, the ones that are red, they actually fall backwards as you hit them, which is quite cool. What I do love with Planet Coaster, actually, what they did in this game, is that as a player, you can actually ride the attraction and actually play the game in terms of, we can shoot the targets, which is good fun. So I'll do that in the next episode too. We can actually join along and play instead of just having to watch the guests have all the fun. So I'll have to see what score I can get on my own dark ride. That'll be interesting, won't it? With this one. Now, in terms of all of the different targets, they don't just work straight away. I am actually going to have to connect them up to the ride system to make sure that it all does work, but I'll be showing you just how to do that in the next episode when I go into a bit more detail about exactly how that's going to work. So yeah, you can see this coming together nicely, lots of details. I wanted you looking down on this scene because I just thought, a lot of the focus is on the higher up parts of these buildings with the targets, so I thought it'd be nice having you looking down onto it, and then you're going to drop down into the town. But I am very pleased with how it's coming together. Something else that I'm really pleased with is the names that you guys were coming out with for the log flume. Honestly, some absolutely amazing names and storylines. I always do struggle to pick. I know I always say it, but honestly, it gets harder and harder each week, going through all the different names and picking my favourite ones. How I tend to do it is I'll pick maybe 3 or 4, sometimes more, that I really like, and then shortlist it from there. But there was a name that I really liked, and especially the storyline behind it, that I thought was fantastic for the log flume. So a big thank you to Sumisu Senpai for this one. I do apologise if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. If you've watched the channel for a while, you'll know my pronunciation with most things is awful, but I do try my best. But the name that you came up with was Red Rock River, and I really like this because, let's face it, it's full of mostly red rocks all the way around there, so I thought that was great. So Red Rock River, and here is the storyline for this one that I've selected from the comments. So here we go. For many years, the Red Rock River has been rumoured to hold many geological wonders in the hills and mountains surrounding it. We've carved a path through and diverted the river through there to enable boats to pass through. We haven't heard from a few of our miners recently, so we're asking you to make your way in and find out where they went. Also, make sure you come back to us with some great geological finds. So there we go, that's Red Rock River. Brilliant story, everything that I asked for there as well in terms of fitting it in with the mining theme, the water ride, it all just came together nicely, and I love that. Red Rock River, it doesn't really sound like anything that's already out there in real theme parks either, so not that I'm aware of anyway, so I do really like that. So thank you very much for that name suggestion. But as always, I just want to say a big thank you to each and every one of you that takes the time each week to come up with a name and also storyline. And of course, comment on the videos, because I know a lot of you put a lot of time and effort into them, which is brilliant. So thank you so much. I just want you to know that I really appreciate all of you that have the time to comment and come up with these suggestions. It really is brilliant. And I have so much fun during the week looking through them all and selecting the ones that I like the most. And of course, picking the winner, so to speak, the one that is going to be have its name represented in the attraction. But like I say, I am going to need a name and maybe a little bit of addition to the storyline for this ride. I'm sure by now you all know how this is going to come together. You know, you're going through this town, everything's fine, a massive storm comes out of nowhere and causes a lot of people to unfortunately lose their life. So that is the theme behind this in this Wild West town, but it's all going to get a bit quirky towards the end. All the skeletons are going to be singing and dancing, very similar to what you'd expect on like the Haunted Mansion, for example, at the Disney parks. That's the theme what we're going for with this. So yeah, if you want to kind of expand on that more, like I say, you can't really take away from that and change it too much, because this ride is being built, you know, with them sort of specifications in mind. However, you can come up with a fantastic name and also add to that if you want to as well. So I will be doing a narration, the first narration that I've done this series. That's going to be coming up for next week. The ride will finish building it and also share the full-on ride POV with the audio as well. I know a lot of you wanted to see the full POV of the log flume. That will be coming. Like I say, it's not actually fully complete yet, Red Rock River. I need to add a coaster around that area, a thrill coaster, the final thrill coaster in the park. Will be going around that section in a few episodes time, so I'll be coming back up to that area. So I thought I'm going to wait for now when it comes to showing the full POV of the log flume and doing all the custom audio and announcements until the ride is fully complete to the standard that I'm happy with that one. But it won't be too far away. Like I say, this park is coming together really nicely, and I feel like it's come together so quickly, to be honest. Like you know, maybe it's just over the years I'm just getting quicker and building things of a higher quality. I don't know, but yeah, it's really come together so quick, considering this is episode 8, and you know, this park now, you're really starting to get an idea on how the finished look is going to be. Once this dark ride's complete, obviously I'm going to need to work on the exterior of this and the area around it. There's going to be a few more family rides and flat rides going around this area. There's also going to be another little mini area, should we say, going in around kind of between the Tanpost area here that we're working on and also between the Santa Fe area that we built with the inverted coaster. There's going to be a little mini area. I'm thinking about building some sort of fortress is my plan, and with a family coaster to fit around there. So yeah, I've got a good idea what in mind with that. So that's to look forward to after this dark ride's complete. So that'll be starting from episode 10, kind of working on these various different flat rides, family rides, and a family coaster. Following on from that, I'll be back onto the other side of the park and kind of working on that final area really, and finishing off all of that round there. And Oatman, back to that area, Oatman oil, because we're going to put some flats in there. There's going to be some more food outlets going in. So yeah, don't worry, there's still, you know, quite a few more episodes to come in this series, and it's going to tie you through quite nicely until the theme parks are going to be reopening, which is, fingers crossed, April the 12th for getting back in the theme parks here in the UK, which is great. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. Of course, things can change. However, it's looking pretty likely now that things will be okay and can open on that date, which is what the government set out. So yeah, that's really exciting. We can't wait for that, and just to get out and support the parks again. Now this little part of the ride's coming together nicely now. So with this scene, like I say, you're pretty low down, and the buildings feel a lot bigger than what they actually are, you know, because you're so low down on this. The ride vehicle itself has spun back facing forwards, then you're looking down towards the rocks. But that's a prime example of what I was saying here about what real dark rides do, mainly to make the rides longer and save costs, is utilising both sides of the buildings. Now, on one side, this can be like a gambling hall, whereas on the other side, it can be a hotel or a bank. All sorts of different things. You know, you can just change them over depending on the side, because the guests on this ride, they go through that many turns and twists, they can't really work out, you know, it's the exact same building as what was on the other side. And like I say, that's something that a lot of parks do for real. So yeah, just adding all these different targets all the way around this section. And these are the doors where everything's going to go a little bit wrong in this town. So you can see I'm putting the doors in there, and that scene where that vehicle's just gone through there, that's going to be where you're actually in the heart of this storm. There's going to be lightning effects, there's going to be fire, there's going to be all sorts of debris everywhere. That is the plan. It's going to be quite intense, quite a lot going on in that part of the ride. However, we can't just go straight from normal weather and into that straight away. Bear in mind, this ride is all going to be set at night, by the way. That's the with this one, there's going to be no sort of it's not going to be daytime. The whole ride's going to be set at night with this, but I'm actually going to add stars on the ceiling, a big star cloth all the way across the top, which should look quite nice too. But again, that won't be added until just before I put the roof on, because I want to make sure that I can see everything clearly that I'm adding in. Now, we've got a big water tower there. That's going to start to leak. That's got nothing to do with the bad weather, but I just thought that'd really add to it even more, the atmosphere. You turn that corner and we're going to add in like a rain effect. Now, of course, if this was really done on the ride, it would probably be done using projections with a little bit of mist, whereas actually here in the game, it looks like, you know, proper rain inside. If it was a realistic dark ride, you probably wouldn't have that, unless it was a water ride anyway. But yeah, with this, we're gonna, you know, add this effect in. It'll probably be projections, like I say, if it was a real ride, with a little bit of mist spray. But yeah, we're gonna start to put the atmospherics into here shortly, which is gonna build up ready for going into the heart of the storm, and that will change throughout the audio as well. So yeah, it's a big story-based ride, and you know what, so far at this point, I feel like it's my most immersive dark ride that I've built so far in the game, to be honest, because I've put so much time and effort into making sure that the sight lines look great and all the different buildings look good from different angles, and I'm really proud of this one, even though we're only halfway in. And of course, you're going to see the rest of the scenes built in next week's episode. I am really pleased with how it's looking. So just before we wrap up this week's episode, you'll see me there adding in some atmospherics now, a bit of a burst pipe coming out of the water tower there, some atmospherics at the bottom, just to kind of add to that and really build it all up. But no, I am really pleased with how this is looking. Of course, let me know your thoughts, and I am going to need a name and of course any more additions that you want to add to the storyline. Of course, this Wild West town where there's a massive storm that's caused devastating effects on the town. I would love to know all of your different suggestions, so get them coming in the video comments. But I'll be back next Wednesday completing this brand new interactive dark ride here at Frontier Adventure, ending with a couple of screenshots there to give you an idea. Bear in mind, there's going to be a big star cloth on the roof to block it all in, and you know what, I think it's going to look great when it's done. So get them suggestions coming in, let me know your thoughts, and I'll be back next Wednesday with another episode here on Theme Park Worldwide. I'm Sean Sandbrook, and that leaves me with one final thing to say: get out there and keep on riding. See you next Wednesday.